Milanga, Darudu, Banaga, Karimara, Yipbarka. A Burung man, he will take a Milanga wife. Their children will be Karimara.
Prior to the white colonisation of Australia, the Nyungar people lived in harmony with nature and developed a strong bond of laws which governed our social structures and maintained our religious beliefs. Atrocities of horrific magnitude during colonisation committed against Nyungar people had a dire impact on the culture and survival of the very existence of all the tribes across the country. With introduced diseases, deliberate acts of genocide, poisoning of waterholes, the forced occupation of land, the desecration of religious beliefs, the introduction of alcohol, Nyungar culture deteriorated rapidly. Progressive dispossession resulted in the Nyungar law struggling to survive. Legislation under the Native Welfare Act of 1905 placed Nyungar people under protective policies which enforced and maintained an existence of oppression, whilst white Australia pioneered further. The curfew of movement and restrictions under the Act shattered the nomadic nature. The forced removal of children, separating them from their parents and brothers and sisters into white institutions, tore at the very strength of the Noongar community.
No one can tell me the way things are meant to be. 200 years ago on this land, no man, no one free. I had no prison, nowhere to lock you away, and you didn't have to fight to live the way you do today. Hey, hey, hey. Today, I said today, I said today, and I mean
Do you think there'll be many guys at the dance tonight?
I hope so, with my meeting one tonight.
Yeah, me too. I've been hearing a lot about AIDS though.
People saying it's spreading faster and faster.
That's right. They reckon millions of people around the world have got the AIDS virus, men, women and children. And most of those that have got the virus are going to die from AIDS. AIDS only got to Australia about 1980. But already thousands of Australians have got the virus in their blood and hundreds have died from AIDS. And the number of AIDS cases doubles every 18 months.
Yeah, but only gays and drug users get AIDS, don't they?
The latest word is that if you're alive, you're at risk. Any man or woman who's got AIDS can spread the disease by having sex with someone else. That's one way that AIDS can spread in our community. And anyone who's got AIDS and shares needles with others can infect a whole lot of people too.
Okay, I'll see you at the dance tonight. Bye. There's got to be a cure, some way of making you better.
No, there's no known cure. Once you've got AIDS, you've got it for life. That's why it's so important to avoid getting the disease and stop it spreading.
Thanks, great day. You going to dance tonight?
Yeah, there's a couple of Yorkers going down there that I know, so I'll be going down, yeah.
Do you ever think about catching AIDS?
Nah, why should I worry? I'm too young. Anyway, even if I did catch it, I'd be able to fight it off.
Oh, yeah?
Wrong. AIDS should worry you. Do you know what they're starting to call AIDS? A young person's disease. Because it's really spreading among you 15 to 25-year-olds. You're the ones most likely to want to try out sex and drugs. When you're young, you believe it could never happen to you. Sex and drugs are the main ways you get AIDS. You've only got to sleep with an infected person or share an infected needle once to run the risk of getting AIDS.
So what can I do about AIDS?
The best way to start is to find out as much as you can about AIDS and tell others what you know. Once you know what AIDS is and how we get it, you can then avoid it.
Okay, but tell me, what is AIDS?
You get AIDS from a virus. Diseases like flu, measles and herpes are all caused by viruses. So viruses are our enemies. but they are so small you need a microscope to see them. Your body protects itself against these enemy viruses with things called T cells. T cells are like soldiers going around in your blood looking out for enemy viruses. And when they find a virus, they attack and kill. This is happening all the time in your body. It's happening inside you right now. You've got millions of these T cells in your blood to defend you against these viruses. But the big problem is, the AIDS virus is more cunning than the others. It can disguise itself so the T cells don't know it's the enemy. The AIDS virus can sneak right up to a T cell and kill it. It multiplies and kills off more and more of your T cells until there's not enough left to protect you against the diseases that can invade your body, make you ill and kill you. So it isn't the AIDS virus that kills you, it's all these other diseases that will actually kill you. When you first get the AIDS virus, you're what the doctors call HIV positive. At this stage you may look and feel quite well, and nobody would guess you've got AIDS. Later, when you've got the virus really bad, when you've got to the point when your body can't defend itself against any diseases, that's when you're said to have really got AIDS. Once you've got AIDS, you've got it for life. No one's ever recovered from it. Some people can live with the AIDS virus in them for many years, but as far as anybody knows, everyone who gets the virus will sooner or later die.
So how does the AIDS virus get into our bodies? Do we breathe it in, get it from kissing, or what?
Let's clear a few things up. You can't get the AIDS virus by breathing it in, sharing a tinny, kissing, or using dirty dishes, because there isn't enough of the virus in the saliva to do you any harm. Nor can you get AIDS from mozzie bites, toilets, or swimming pools, because the virus can't live long outside of your body and is easily killed by bleach, disinfectant, and soap. People that are infected have a lot of the AIDS virus in their blood, and if they're men, in their semen, or if they're women, in the fluid in their vaginas or in their breast milk. To get the AIDS virus, some of that infected blood, semen, vaginal fluid or breast milk has to get into your blood. Your best defence against this is your skin. If you haven't any cuts or wounds, the virus can't get in. But if you've got a cut or a wound in your skin, it's easy for the virus to get into your blood. Most of our skin is very tough, but there are some parts where our skin is very, very thin and easily torn. The penis, the vagina, and the anus. And that's how most people get AIDS. The virus gets into their blood by having sex with someone who's got infected semen, infected blood, including period blood, or infected fluid in the vagina.
Well, I suppose that means no one's allowed to have sex anymore then.
There's no way you're going to be able to stop us mob from bungeeing around.
Of course not. And it's quite safe to have sex with someone you're really sure hasn't got AIDS. That is, they haven't slept with someone else and haven't shared needles or syringes with anyone. Thank you. But if you're not sure about the other person, the really sensible thing to do is to use one of these. A condom, or maybe you call it a rubber or a franger. Used the right way, a condom can protect you against AIDS, but condoms can break, especially during anal sex. So it's a good idea to also use a water-soluble lubricant. A health worker can always advise you about these things. A few important things to remember about condoms. First, you can get condoms free from the AMS. Second, you should always check the expiry date on the packet, because condoms perish with time. Thirdly, keep your condoms in a cool place. Don't keep them in your pocket or on the dash of the car or anywhere else where it's hot, because that'll make them perish as well. Fourthly, if you haven't used a condom before, practice putting one on and taking it off, so you get it right and you feel confident about doing it. And lastly, put the condom on before you have sex, not just before you orgasm. Oral sex can be risky as well, because the AIDS virus could get in through any cuts or sores around your mouth or sexual parts.
Sadly, we all know that Aboriginal people have a bigger chance of being arrested and put into jail for minor offences such as drunkenness or disorderly conduct. You've got to take special care not to have sex in jail, for that light sentence could become your death sentence.
I know some friends who take drugs. Are they at risk from getting AIDS?
Taking drugs, including alcohol, stops you thinking clearly. You might do things you wouldn't do normally. You could take risks and forget all about AIDS. Sharing someone else's needle is just asking for trouble. There could easily be some of their blood left on it. And if they've got AIDS, you're going to inject that infected blood straight into your bloodstream. So anyone who shares a needle with someone else runs a big risk of catching the AIDS virus. We hear a lot about needle-sharing drug users, and that's one part of it. Some of us have to use needles because we've got diabetes, but the idea is the same. Never share a needle with anyone else. To avoid AIDS, only use new sterile needles or syringes. Keep them just for your own use. Label them and hide them so nobody else can use them. The message is simple. Don't shoot up. Don't share needles.
But what about ear piercing and tattooing? Don't they use needles for that?
They reckon the needles used for ear piercing and tattooing aren't a risk. They don't have as much blood on them, or the blood's dry, but they should always be sterilised. Professionals know how to do this, but those backyard jobs could be a real problem, so give them a miss. There's also no need to worry about getting a blood transfusion, because in 1985, tough new tests were brought in to check for the virus in donated blood. Since then, hundreds of thousands of people have received blood transfusions, and nobody has got AIDS from this blood. Donating blood is safe. You can't get AIDS or any other disease from donating.
Either one, who knows what happens when it comes. What about babies? Can they get AIDS?
Babies can get AIDS if their mothers are infected. A pregnant woman that's got the AIDS virus in her blood can pass it on to her baby. An infected woman can also give her baby the AIDS virus through her breast milk. Babies with AIDS don't live long. Imagine how you'd feel if your baby had AIDS. Or what would happen to your child if you or your partner or both of you got AIDS? If you want to be sure that everything's okay, talk it over with your health worker or doctor, and they may suggest you have an AIDS test.
Have you ever thought about an AIDS test?
Why bother? Once you've got it, you're finished.
There are several very good reasons for having the test, especially if you think you could be at risk. First, if you're told that you haven't got AIDS, you can stop worrying. Second, if you have got AIDS, they can help you and advise you. There are new drugs that slow down the disease. And if you're told you have got AIDS, you will avoid giving it to anyone else.
But remember, the test can only tell if you've caught the AIDS virus about 3 months after you've been exposed to it. And the test will not protect you against AIDS. Even if the results show you haven't got AIDS, you still can't afford to drop your guard.
Apart from the test, how can you tell if someone's got AIDS?
You can't. Some people get the virus in their blood and it doesn't do much for 5 to 10 years. So they go on looking fit and healthy, but go on spreading the AIDS virus. Other people start to feel sick only 2 weeks after getting the AIDS virus. They get things like night sweats, diarrhea, vomiting, rashes and pains in their muscles and joints. Later on, glands swell up in their neck, armpits and groin, and they lose weight very quickly. But if you get these symptoms, don't panic, because quite minor illnesses affect you just the same way. If you are worried, please go and talk it over with a health worker or doctor.
If I had someone out of school has AIDS, should I take my kids out?
There's no need to do that, because you can't get AIDS by just being near people. Social contact like touching, hugging or even kissing is quite safe. If you obey the simple rules about sex and drugs we've told you about, you won't be at risk from anyone in your family, or from friends, or from mates at work, or even strangers. So there's no need to keep away from particular people or particular places.
We can't reject someone just because they've got AIDS. They are a human being who needs our love and our care.
If you want to know anything about AIDS and how to avoid it, get in touch with us at the Aboriginal Medical Service or ring the AIDS helpline. The numbers are in the phone book. It's easy to get help, it's free, and it's strictly private.
AIDS should be talked about. It's too dangerous to ignore. It's important to talk with your family, friends and workmates about the causes of AIDS and how to stop it spreading. Spread the word, not the disease.
I've got a steady girlfriend, and I know that she's doing the right thing by me, so I'll do the right thing by her.
So remember, don't moon around. Only have sex with a safe partner. If you do moon around, always use a condom. And girls, you should make him feel there's no shame in using one. If he cares, he'll know it's the right thing to do.
These are for tonight, because I'm thinking about tomorrow.
Don't share needles or anything with blood on it. Cut down on grog and drugs, because when you're drunk or high, you won't respect the dangers of AIDS.
Drugs? No way. I'm not taking the risk.
If you're not sure about any of these things, come and talk to us at the AMS. Don't listen to stories. Get the facts from people who know.
I've listened and I've learnt. I'm not going to be the one to die from ignorance.
The fight against AIDS is part of our fight to control our lives and future. The weapons we have are knowledge and our respect for each other. As an Aboriginal, you are part of a culture that has survived for over 50,000 years. Be proud of your culture and keep it alive. It's up to you, because only you can stop AIDS spreading in our community.